gardeners take advantage of every single inch of space they have, as well as found objects, to make their garden the absolute best it can be. Today we're going to take a look at a great example of growing a huge amount of produce in a small space, and really just as importantly, how this particular homeowner has taken advantage of all sorts of interesting found objects to really help his garden become its best. It's really important to protect the soil during gardening, and that includes from things like your own feet. So what this gardener has done is he has repurposed some old boards to use as kind of a little tiny pathway between the rows of his vegetables. That helps the soil keep from getting compacted. It allows him to work in the garden when it's wet, and it also is a really good way of defining the rows of these particular crops. He's done a really interesting planting technique as well, and that is that he has interspersed radishes with carrots. The radishes are going to ripen earlier. He'll pull them. The carrots are slower to come up, and that way he's actually doing double duty in this particular row. Another thing that good gardeners do is they try to figure out how to protect the seeds immediately after they're sown from such things as those nasty marauding crows or birds or grackles of any sort, hail damage, all sorts of creatures that can get in there and kind of mess around with that seed. And what he did is he placed old screens, again, another repurposed object, flat on the ground until the seedlings emerged. Then he has actually created kind of a little slanted tip-up device where he has a 2x4, he's leaned the screens against it. Again, what that does is give them a little bit of shade from the sun. More importantly, it protects them from above. In the winter months or in the late fall, he has taken the glass from these old windows and created his own little tiny miniature greenhouses that let him extend the season for lettuces, spinach, radishes, all of those cool season crops that like the cooler weather but need a little bit of heat from that winter sun in order to be able to ripen. Building the soil out of compost that a person makes themselves is a great way to repurpose materials like old scraps. Mulching with grass clippings helps take those grass clippings off the lawn without having to bag them, also keeps the weeds down, keeps the moisture in. This gardener has grown his crops in a trench system so he can run the water down the trenches. He also is protecting new plants in another way, and that is that he has surrounded tomatoes and broccoli with old containers, old planting containers with the bottom cut out of them. And what that will do is keep the rabbits and the cutworms away from them, as well as help keep them a little bit warmer. On Backyard Farmer, we want to help you build great landscapes even if you don't want to be a vegetable gardener. And that means focusing also on such functional elements as retaining walls. This gardener has used old concrete, broken into sections and laid flat to build all the retaining walls on his property. And the really neat thing about that is it's a very stable material. Again, it's repurposing something that might otherwise end up in the landfill, flat on at least one side so it's easy to stack. He's got a good batter on it, meaning he's leaned it back into the hill. And then there are little places where he has let the sedums and the ivies and all sorts of things creep into it. So it has kind of an old patina. It looks a little bit like stone. It lasts a lot longer than stone, and it really helped him build this great vegetable garden in which he's growing all sorts of wonderful things to eat.